and gentlemen, and welcome to the Polyhedron Collectorcast, episode 77, the games we are most looking forward to in 2020. I'm Steve Tudor.
I'm John Cage.
I'm Andy Lewis.
And I'm Rory Summers.
And since there are all four of us here this year, we promise not to spend half an hour talking about Dunelm Mill.
Aww.
We'll save it for next episode for when I've moved house and have gone to Dunelm Mill to buy the curtains and pillows necessary to move house.
Excellent. Yes. Yeah. That's what
something exciting for our listeners to look forward to in the next episode.
Yes.
You guys,
posted.
I can tell you guys have also been listening back to what we did last year about our exciting games for 2019.
How wrong were you guys, eh?
I don't know.
Actually,
I didn't
not
think we were
very.
that far off,
We
actually.
were, yeah. Stephen and I, the only two people to actually record that podcast, John.
Well, to be fair, I had some fairly extenuating circumstances.
That is fair. That is fair. I think Steve and I were pretty much on point.
But you clearly listened to a very different podcast.
Lies. Filthy lies.
Let's talk about some of the games that you were really looking forward to seeing last year, Andy, that haven't come out yet.
Okay, I will. There's one. One!
Yeah, it's mostly my games.
Oh,
I thought were
Steve,
gonna come out next
Steve
year.
just panned
It was
it.
me, yeah.
Don't you tar me with his brush, Summers.
There were games you were looking forward to, which you did back on Kickstarter, which still haven't arrived. There's those as well.
There's one. One!
All right, okay.
And that is the one.
Come on, put us out of our misery. Which one?
Go on.
It was Tang Garden,
There we go.
which
What
is
about Dark
still
Cities?
to be delivered. The Dark Cities game, that hasn't even hit Kickstarter yet. And we did say at the time it might be in 2020, so nah.
No, we'll see.
So the first game, we'll go quickly through the list of what we talked about last time. The first game was the fourth game in the Dark City series, which we didn't know it was called then, and we still don't know 12 months later.
I
There's
know.
been no announcement about it. Oh dear?
Yeah, it's going to be
Go
a
on then.
Polyhedron Collider exclusive in this episode.
Is it?
Whoa.
Yeah. So
Are you pulling my leg here, or are you
no,
actually genuine?
I know genuinely the city, the year, the theme of the game. I've got artwork which we can share with the podcast. Yeah.
Drum
Is
roll,
it-
please.
Is it Barcelona? Can we guess the city?
This could be a really boring game, but let's guess the Dark City's city. And
Is
it's
it
Barcelona.
Barcelona?
No.
Bognor.
I'm going to go for Cairo.
Alexandria.
Essen.
It is.
Wrexham.
Oh,
Wrexham's not a city.
you are an awful lot closer.
What?
Birmingham.
No, it
Liverpool.
is going to be a British city.
Not
It is going to. It's going to be
Edinburgh.
Bristol 1350.
Bristol.
Bristol 1350. It's all going to be about the plague, and the game is going to be about escaping the city and making sure that no one on your cart is infected. So yeah, it's another social deduction party game for lots of players. Kind of like you're really going to be wanting to play with this with at least 5, but it goes up to 9. You're all in the city of Bristol. At least one person starts off as being affected with the Black Death, and your job is to identify them, get on a cart, get out of the city without that person or any other infected people on your cart. If you do that, you win.
Ooh.
Coming to
sounds interesting.
Kickstarter this spring.
Well, that has just isolated one of the games on my upcoming list. So you've just done my job for me. Well done, Rory.
Hermione Granger of Polyhedron Collider strikes again.
Tick.
Just don't ask him to bring out his bag of holding, all right?
So some of the other games we said we were going to be backing, a couple of them were speculative. We mentioned Bloodborne, the board game, which I have backed, and I'm waiting impatiently for. We suggested that John might like to back Munchkin Dungeon.
But John saw some details of that and decided that he didn't want to.
No, it ended up being a completely different game to what I thought it was going to be, to be fair.
Yeah.
We thought about backing Chocolate Factory, which we played at Expo.
Which one of us did? 2 of us did? 1 of us did? I did.
I did.
And have you got it yet?
Yeah. It was delivered a couple of months ago, actually.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't mentioned it on the podcast, so
No.
I just wondered whether it's any good. Was it worth the hype?
Yes. It's very good. It's very similar to Dice Hospital in many ways, in terms of kind of structure of play. But I would argue it's probably slightly harder, actually, in a lot of ways. But a bit more luck-based. So it requires a bit more adaptability on the player's part. But it can be a bit more AP prone. But they're very similar, and they're both probably about as good as each other. And we all like Dice Hospital, so it's of the same sort of stature, quality, and style. So
AP prone, you say? Sounds like my kind of game.
Well, in the sense that, I mean, you all do the same thing. It's like Dice Hospital. You can all act simultaneously, but it's a lot more
but
thinky.
what's going to happen is we're all going to be playing. We're all going to look up and go, why can't we carry on? Oh, because John's still thinking about his go.
You read my mind there, Mr. Judah, yes.
One of my New Year's resolutions for this year is not to procrastinate less. It's to get you guys to understand that there's some value in procrastinating a little bit more.
No, there
Thinking
isn't.
through your turns.
No.
It's all about the amount of games you play.
It is. Quantity, not quality. Well, to a point.
So the other games we looked at were The Gig, which actually didn't come out. I don't know why it was delayed, actually. But
It's still in development, and last I spoke to Lewis Shaw from Braincrack Games, it is going through one final stage of development as the designers have just kind of done a bit of a twist. I'm being told now that it is the best version of that game that they are looking at right now, and that should be coming to Kickstarter this year in the summer.
Okay.
To be fair, it's not going to be the worst version, is it? They're going to go sort of develop the best version. Do you know what? Let's not release that one.
Let's
Let's
keep
carry
going.
on and change
Let's
it.
go
Yeah,
full
exactly.
circle back to a shit prototype. Yeah,
Precisely.
That's what happened with Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell.
Well, that's fair. That's true.
man has a
People can
point.
screw
The man
up.
has a point.
Yeah, good point. Well made. It's like the old phrase, it's always in the last place you look. Well, it's not going to be anywhere else because you're not going to carry on looking once you've found it, have you?
I don't know.
Indeed.
There's a woman at home who would disagree with that.
Does this woman have a name?
Not
You
going to
keep her in
name
the
her,
cupboard?
just in case she's listening.
Is it your housemate?
You're my housemate, yeah.
So we also looked at Magnate, which we actually had the prototype copy of, didn't we? Managed to play at Expo.
Still have it?
Still have it, eh?
I still need to ask if they want it back.
And we also highlighted Trudvang Legends, which I was really excited for, and I'm actually still really excited for. But quite literally the second I was about to hit the pledge button on Kickstarter, I got a reminder that my car service was due. And my car service was exactly the same price as the pledge for Trudvang Legends.
That is a sad story indeed.
That's fate giving you a message there, loud and clear, isn't it?
So you bought the game and you now walk to work.
You and Steve are very different people, Andy.
Yes, I know. I make better choices.
Oh, that was a good one.
So some of the other games we picked were Comanauts, which I don't think any of us actually played.
No, I had the chance to play it the other day, actually, in Nerdy in Shrewsbury, which is a fantastic board gaming cafe. And the game selection there is really genuinely amazing. They have things like Trickerion and Anachrony and Scythe and things like that. Basically, the guy who runs it was running out of space in his house, and his girlfriend said, look, you need to get rid of some of this. And he said, never. So he said, right, I'm going to make some money out of this. And so basically, we're playing his personal board game collection in the cafe.
Nice.
They do table service. They do fantastic cake. Really good coffee. It's £2 if you remember, £4 to play all day. It's a really, really nice place. It has 3 floors.
That's very reasonable.
It's
Are we getting
very,
sponsored
very
for this?
reasonable. No, but I did say I'd give them a mention because we had a really good day. We had a kind of Bewdley board game group day out a week last Sunday. And it was a really, really good day. So we played Scythe and a few others. But they do have Comanauts, which is where I was going with that. And we thought, ooh, but then I said, no, we're playing Scythe. And everyone mostly regretted that decision.
Who won?
Me.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. So we then mentioned 3 games which actually haven't come out yet. So we mentioned the Metal Gear Solid board game, which is still planning to come out. It's coming out in 2020. We thought it would come out earlier. Still excited for that, actually, because it's by the designer of Spectre Ops, and I rather like that. Tanged Garden, which I believe you've backed, Mr. Lewis.
I have, but I no longer care. It's over a year late. And they've said, oh, there's another delay. So I'm like, well, whatever. So I might get it in 2021 at this point. I mean, it looks lovely and very interesting, but at this point, I've given up hope.
Oh, dear.
Abandon all ye hope.
We also mentioned Aliens Another Glorious Day in the Core.
Drop your linen and stop your grinning.
Yeah, pretty much the same joke you guys made about
exactly the same
Exactly.
joke ago.
I'm glad you got that, John.
Oh, dear.
Which we think is stuck in development hell, do we not?
It's stuck in litigation hell. Since Disney bought Fox, so this game was all ready to go, and then Disney went ahead and bought Fox, who own the rights to Alien and the Alien franchise. So ever since then, the brakes have been put on hold, big style, while the lawyers fight out over who owns the IP, who owns the license, how much are they going to get, and all that type of bonkers legal stuff. So once that's all sorted, we can hope the game comes out. It's a real shame it didn't come out 2019, since that was the anniversary year of Alien.
Yeah.
It was it 20 years last year, or 30? I can't remember.
Yeah. It'd be 40 because Alien came out in 1979.
Oh my god.
Same year I was born. I thought it
Okay.
was 78.
Right.
I'm pretty sure. Oh, God, it might be 78, actually.
That was the year before I was born.
Anyway, it doesn't surprise me that because I remember speaking at Kid Games Expo donkeys years ago to Prodos because when they had the Alien vs Predator license, and they were saying they were having really trouble with the license holders from 20th Century Fox because they were trying to make paintable miniatures, so proper miniatures kind of thing, and 20th Century Fox wanted copyright 20th Century Fox going up like the side of every miniature.
No.
I remember
What?
discussing that before, yeah. It's bonkers.
Because they wanted the copyright 20th Century Fox in bold, so everyone could see it as soon as you picked up the miniature.
At which point you just get some modelling putty and go and paint right over it.
So I'll quickly go through the other games we mentioned. We mentioned Lifeform,
Got it, played it, it's great.
Like it.
Century New World,
Got it, played it.
Wingspan.
Got it. Played it.
Oh, you've all got Wingspan now, haven't you?
Yeah.
And none of you
quite
sound
enjoyed it.
enthusiastic enough for me to go out and buy it.
I quite enjoyed it.
You all reluctantly own that.
Laura really likes it. She's just
It's
bought
like
the
a
European
suit
expansion.
that doesn't quite fit properly, but you've got it in your wardrobe just in case one day I will squeeze back into that suit. Or
Yeah, I actually have a suit like that.
Is my mic off? I quite enjoyed it. Hello?
We're just ignoring that, John.
Why do I even bother?
None of us hate it.
No, it's not. It's a nice game. It's just I don't think it's quite as exciting as the hype makes it. I think it's a good solid game. And even at the time, we said I wonder whether we'll be speaking about it again in 9 months' time. And here we are talking about it in 9 months' time. So I think it's got that kind of bizarre staying power. But it's not my game. It's Amanda's game.
Same with Laura. She's just bought the expansion of European Birds.
very, very clever distinction.
Oh yeah, we distance ourselves from such things.
I've got no such pride.
The last two games were Sierra West.
Got it. Love it.
And Pipeline. Yeah. What, Pipeline?
No, Sarah West. But no, Pipeline was very good. Steve and I have played that once, but yeah, we need to play that again. I keep trying to get Laura to play it, but she's reluctant.
Why do you think she's reluctant? Just out of curiosity.
It's probably not her kind of game. She doesn't like the Maker Maze kind of 3D tile laying, construct the pipeline a bit about games, things like that. Not her bag, baby.
Fair enough.
Going on to that's what we looked at last year. I reckon we've got about a good 50 to 75% hit ratio there, Andy.
I would say so, possibly even 80%, because
I'm
we can
sure
rule
you
out
guys
aliens
can't count
because
properly.
Nah, we can. It's fine. It's just I used to be a consultant. Steve is basically a consultant. We kind of round up to make it sound good.
Just see, right?
Yeah. Same happens with your fees at the end of the month.
Exactly. Yes. That was about $4,000. You're only here for half an hour. Yeah, it's about $4,000.
Mm-hmm. Don't trust them as far as you can throw them, folks.
So
The size of me and Steve these days can't throw us very far.
Not after Christmas, no.
No.
So let's have a look at some of the games that are coming out in 2020. Now, we're going to break this down to broadly two groups, which are games coming to Kickstarter, which may not be coming out in 2020, but they're coming to Kickstarter in 2020, and there's games that we hope are actually going to be released and playable in 2020. Now, We've got some serious pruning to do here because my long list, well, actually, it's my short list, is 25 games, and I think everyone's got the same amount of games on their list. So we've got to somehow narrow this down to a handful of games each, chaps.
Okay.
Go on then, Rory. Choose a game you are really excited about.
Okay, right. You know what? I'm going to start.
Kick us off.
I'm going to start with the big daddy of all the games that I'm looking forward to coming out. Oh, the big daddy. There's no one big one. Right, no. I've got it.
Oh, my God.
No. This is so worth it. This is so worth it. Okay, this one launches January 14th. So this podcast should air Sunday 12th, Steve, probably?
Probably.
All right. So Tuesday 14th, it's called Oath, Chronicles of Empire and Exile. It's from Leader Games and is designed by Cole Whirl, who did Root, Pax Pamar, and Infamous Traffic, and loads of other ones. It's got the same artist, whose name I've completely forgotten now, from Root. It looks utterly amazeballs. It's got a slight asynchronicity going on here, with one player playing as the Chancellor, as you're going to be shaping this world, with the other three players being exiles in this kind of fantasy political world. And what you're going to be doing, you're going to be building this tableau over this neoprene mat, with your cards as you play. But the really cool thing about this game is that as you play and build, you're going to be changing the politics, the world, and the rules, essentially. And then when you pack it up, you're going to build your new starting deck based on the world you've just played in. So your next game is a continuation of this story. And it can work across groups. So it does boast that you could play it solo, Steve, for a week, build this really up world, then sit down with us and go, right then, guys, sort this shit out. But you can just, at any point, you can just reset it back to the original starting setup, and you just play, and you can evolve this fantasy political world of just crazy stuff going on. It looks brilliant. It looks really interesting. Apparently, it's going to be, in terms of contents in the box, it's a root plus an expansion and a bit. So we're looking about $80, maybe $90 for a kind of a standard pledge on this one. It looks very good. I watched the live Twitch, I didn't watch it live, but I watched the Twitch playthrough of this from the team at Leader Games. I'd recommend it very strongly.
Okay.
That's coming across, Rory.
That does sound quite interesting, actually. Although it kind of sounds almost like one of the challenges in SimCity. Take over this fucked up place and then have to sort it out in 10 years.
Well, no, that's part of the joy of this game, is that when you start off, everybody starts very even. So if it were the four of us playing, for example, I was the Chancellor, so my turn would be quite different to yours. But you would all be exiles, and you'd all have identical powers. But in John's first go, what he would do would change his second go, which would be very different to Steve, very different to Andy, and your roles would develop as you played, not just within that game, but within the series of games that the four of us play. But it all collapses back down really neatly and all comes back out really quickly again. So you can just pick up where you left off. And if Steve didn't make it for a game, that's fine. We could play without him. He would join in. The world would have changed again slightly. He just slots back into this game and carries on. Well, a lot of beard stroking there, Steve. I like it.
That sounds interesting. Well, it sounds like similar to what Trudvang Legends was supposed to do. This whole point of you change the state of the game.
It did remind me of that, yeah.
So I am intrigued by this, and of course, we all were fans of Root.
Mm-hmm.
We are.
I just hope I can write a decent rulebook this time.
Fingers crossed.
I wouldn't hold your breath.
This game is a lot simpler to teach because you only have to worry about, you've got the Chancellor and then you've got the Exiles. So from that point of view, you're only really discussing two systems of play.
Okay.
Everything else changes as you have stuff that's in your deck or in your tableau. So it is a lot easier to teach from that point of view. So the rulebook should be easier, is what I'm trying to get at.
Can't be any worse, to be honest.
That sounds pretty cool, actually.
It does. It sounds interesting. I'm intrigued.
I am indeed as well. I'll be keeping an eye out for that one.
January 14th.
What was that called?
It's called Oath, Chronicles of Empire and Exiles from Leader Games, designed by Cole Were.
Ah, excellent. Brilliant. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. Well, I have my eye on something what has been mentioned to me, I think probably by you actually, Rory, maybe by Steve, Tekhenu, which is going to be published by Board and Dice by one of my favourite designers, Daniele Taschini of Twati Hadouken, Solken and Trismegistus fame, and another star of another favourite of our show, Big Davey T. So
David Turtsey.
Yes.
You trying to suck up, Rory?
The man said he doesn't want to be called Big Davey T. Right.
He's also got a sense of humour, though, so...
Anyway, two of my favourite designers in one board game can only mean good things. And looking at the description of this upcoming game, it does seem like, well, those two fairly designers with reputations for hefty, thinky games have definitely produced a very hefty, very thinky game. So Tekhenu is based around the Nile and ancient Egypt. So Daniel Taschini has moved from temples and pyramids in Incan and South American territory to Egyptian pyramids this time around. And reading the description of the game, there is dice drafting. You can put dice in different areas of the board, of which there are 6, which are shadowed, not too dissimilarly to photosynthesis, where the shadow moves around the board. And you can put dice into various areas. Those areas will give you different powers. Those areas are also controlled by 6 different gods of Egypt, so Horus, Hathor, Thoth, and all that lot. So it seems to have a little bit of a Trismegistus feel, where if you stick your die or use a particular die of a particular symbol, for example, then it'll do different things. So it looks like Daniel is mixing it up with his dice drafting once again. And just reading this description, I'm already confused. So it sounds like I'm going to enjoy it. Because I did rather like Trismegistus, even though it was quite complicated.
That's putting it quite lightly as well.
It was fine. So there's dice drafting in it, there's dice placement in it, there's choosing different powers depending on the state of the board. There's lots and lots of different ways of scoring, so there's a nice point salad. So it does seem that all of these both put my teeth back in. It seems like both of these designers, it is pretty obvious that they've had their grubby little paws all over this. So definitely looking forward to that. That's Tekhenu from Board and Dice.
So that's the 4th game, beginning with the letter T, which will be unspellable.
Yes.
Yes.
And barely pronounceable.
Do you think that's one of his requirements? Must begin with T, can't spell it.
It must be. It's becoming a trend, yeah.
Do you think he just puts the letter T into Wikipedia and just looks for like the most unusual word from there? That'll do. I'll start there.
Just looking down the dictionary. No, too easy. Aha! Here's a beauty. I can barely even work out what it says. So, we're talking about things that are coming to Kickstarter.
Well, I think Rory's broken that theory, so just pick a game you're excited about.
The Rebel. The Hermione Granger Rebel of Polyhedron
I'm going to
Collider.
put things back on the rails, as is my nature, and talk about something that should be coming to Kickstarter, which is Defection, from James Tomlin from Thunderbolts Limited. So we talked about this loads before in the past. It's a game that I've been very excited about for a very, very long time. Basically, it's a kind of space exploration, pick up and deliver your crew. You each play the role of a race that are defecting from the main war effort. You decide you've had enough of that blowing everyone up. It's time to get everyone to safety. Unwilling to fight, you have to kind of pick up crew, pick up cargo, sell things off, except you're all doing it competitively at the same time. You don't want anyone else to win either. So you're also trying to shoot down their ships, fend off pirates, and generally travel around the galaxy, trying not to die in the process. So I've played multiple demos of this, and we've seen it change, unbelievably, some of it from our suggestions, all positive. And I'm really excited about it. I'm really happy that James is finally getting it to Kickstarter this year. There was some talk about it coming in autumn last year, and I think we talked about it at the time and thought that might be a bit of an error in the lead up to Christmas. So all luck to him in getting this one out, and I'm fairly certain I will be backing this.
Excellent.
Have we got official word then that this is coming out? Because I'm like, as you said, it was meant to come out in 2019, and I saw it in 2018 at EGX, and I thought it was going to be coming out then. So, I mean, I'm excited to see this game. I have my reservations whether it will actually be out this year. Do we know?
I'm questioning myself. I'm sure I read something, having done a bit of research, that said that it was going to come to Kickstarter this year.
Well, I shan't question your research, Mr. Cage.
When we spoke to them at Expo this year, they were more confident that this game was ready.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got the feeling that when we spoke to them at City of Games, there was the feeling that the game could have been ready, but it was like, oh, there's a bit more tweaking to do kind of thing. Oh, we can tweak it a bit more. And I think they're at the point now, it's like, well, if we tweak it any more, we're just going to be here for bloody ever. So I kind of got the impression they were almost ready to go.
Let's put it this way. On Board Game Geek, it says Defection 2020, so it must be true.
Okay.
To be fair, for the last 2 years, it said Time Garden, 2018, 2019.
It's just a script that updates it until it actually releases.
Is it not City of Games that are releasing this then?
No.
Publishing?
No.
Oh, that's interesting.
James and Frank are just really good mates and have known each other for a while. I think James actually has an office space in the City of Games office. And I think so Frank has kind of helped James, or they've helped each other. They're just good mates. But I think James has always had the intention to release this because this will actually be his second Kickstarter. His first Kickstarter was for Defection, the comic book range. There's a series of comics which all set in that universe that kind of set up the story about the war and the Defection.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So I think he's very keen on setting this up as his brand and his story.
Right. Oh, that makes sense. Nice one.
Right, I best pick one and then I best narrow it down. So...
Narrow it down.
Oh, I'm so excited about so many games. Okay, the one I'm probably the most excited about is, and I've mentioned this twice already on this podcast, but it's Perseverance Castawy Chronicles, which is the batshit crazy game from David Turksey, another big mention for Big Davey T, and Mind Clash Games. So this is a 4-part game. So the Kickstarter this year will be parts 1 and 2. Parts 3 and 4 will be coming to Kickstarter 2021. They are 4 separate games that share components. So when you buy Chapter 1 and 2, you'll get all the components you need, and when 3 and 4 come out, you'll only need to buy the board and the rulebook.
Oh, very nice.
So they're all based on the common theme, and the common theme is a cruise ship has somehow landed onto an island full of dinosaurs.
Oh yes, this is going back to
what you are trying to do is survive, build shelters, train the dinosaurs to be your assistants, and I can imagine it's going to go on from there. I think this is just the first stage, and we'll see what happens from there. The first game is a dice drafting game, so it's proper Euro territory where you're going to be using dice as workers, drafting them, put on the board, using them to build shelters, get weapons, train dinosaurs, that kind of thing. And there's also some aspects of political elements to it because you're representing different factions, and you'll be trying to either work together or work against each other. Unfortunately, I just missed out on a chance to play this at GridCon. I quite literally was 10 miles down the motorway when I got a phone call off David Turksey saying, there's a spare slot if you want it. It's like, I'm too far now.
God damn.
I was like, oh, bugger.
Oh, no way.
So unfortunately, I can't talk about this from a position of authority, but he did show me the prototype boards. Of course, it's got Mind Clash's graphic design all over it, so if you're used to Tricarion or Anachrony's kind of graphic design, expect more of the same. It's going to be that kind of level of zing. It's probably going to be quite expensive because it's Mind Clash, but not overly expensive, if that makes sense.
We're not in sort of Z-Man and Stronghold territory here, are we?
Well, the Mind Clash Kickstarters have not really been cheap, though, have they?
Very good value.
You think about some of the Tricarion. Yeah, they're good value, but they're not. It's not pocket money, is it? It's not punt money.
No, but it's worth it, I would say.
A serious investment.
Yeah. So what this is going to be with the 4 chapters as well is there's a kind of a campaign where you play the games through. So you play basically 4 different games in the same theme and the same components, one after each other, and therefore build this story between all 4 sections.
Interesting. So it's kind of Jurassic Park meets Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a rip on acid. I think that's probably the
On
best way.
acid.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It does sound interesting.
I think that's the one I'm most looking forward to.
Excellent.
And from what I hear, that's going to be out some point in the spring this year.
Nice. Okay. Far enough from Christmas that you've probably saved up a few pennies, but far enough from summer that you haven't blown all your beer money yet. Excellent. Perfect timing.
I've got a couple of really big ones that I want to mention.
Oh, hello.
So these are Kickstarters I've backed that should be coming out this year. I should already have part of one of them, but I stupidly picked the ship it all in one thing. Not really quite realising what I've done. But yeah, the two huge mini games that realistically are going to land about the time that I've got a tiny human entering my life and will therefore have next to no time to actually play them. And these two board games are Oathsworn Into the Deepwood and Etherfields. So Oathsworn, Steve and I demoed at the UK Games Expo, and it is amazing. We got a snippet, one battle against a giant rat, and it was pretty awesome. I think you'd agree, Steve?
Mm-hmm. I have backed this as well.
Yep. I cannot wait to play this game, and it's going to be. I mean, it's a not dungeon crawling because it's above ground. It's a story-driven, dungeon and overland crawly game in which you play a bunch of heroes trying to save the land. Can't wait.
Yeah, from what we've been told, it's like a choose-your-own-adventure style intro to each scenario where you'll explore the city and then you'll no doubt have to go into the Oathwood. Is it called? Is it the
Deepwood
or the Oathsworn?
The
The Deepwood to kill some kind of gribbly. And we had a taste of the combat section of it, and the combat I thought was pretty deep. I thought it was a pretty deep tactical miniatures combat game, which I'm rather looking forward to. Because we didn't even get to taste the kind of story element of it, did we?
Yeah. And it's a branching storyline as well, so it's not like, you're on a set of scenarios that will always be the same. Things have different events, then they lead into one another. And it's voiced by the head of the Night's Watch.
Ah, James, what's his chops? Cosmo,
Yeah.
that's him.
That's the
Nice
one.
one.
So yeah, really, really exciting project. Can't wait to get my copy, except because I picked to have it all shipped in one thing and I went for the really big pledge, it's not going to arrive until much later this year.
Didn't you do the same with Avalon as well, John? Or did you not back that one?
I didn't back that.
Ah, okay.
No, he did. You're thinking of the Holy Grail.
That's the one, yes. Tainted Grail.
Tainted Grail, maybe.
So you made the same mistake twice?
No, hang on.
It may be thrice. What's the third? What's this other game you're going to mention, John?
So the other big one was Etherfields, which I backed quite heavily, which is a bit of an odd game. It is, again, a big miniatures kind of game from Awakened Realms, who we're big fans of. Except this is, rather than being a dungeon crawler, they've described it as a dream crawler. So think Dixit meets a dungeon crawler, if you can picture that.
No, I can't.
Basically, everything you do sort of changes the kind of dream world that you're exploring. I don't know an enormous amount about the actual gameplay, but the hints that I've seen look really exciting. I love the the artwork looks incredible. The snippets that I have seen look really exciting. And again, this is one I'm not going to have enough time to play, but I'm really excited to play it.
So this is kind of Gloomhaven meets MC Escher, something like that.
Yeah, that's probably a decent way to describe it, I reckon.
2 for 2 on board game descriptions, come on. So that's Tainted Grail, Etherfields, and Oathsworn all this year. Wow, John. That's a lot of miniatures that you'll never, ever use.
Thing is, right, I've got Oathsworn, but I've only just backed the standy version. So I reckon I could get into John's, take the miniatures away from him, and he would be none the wiser because he'd be holding onto a tiny human with lack of sleep, and I reckon I could play Oathsworn and get it back to him before he realises.
I reckon you
Possibly.
could probably play it right under his nose before he realises it.
I didn't back Tainted Grail, though, for the record.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. Well, that was a mistake. So I hear.
I thought he did back Tainted Grail.
I don't know.
No.
I thought you backed it. Because Etherfields isn't shipping yet.
No, but it's this year.
No, but I thought you were making all of the fuss about the single shipping thing because people are getting Tainted Grail at the moment.
Hang on a minute, I'm getting confused now.
You are.
What was the other one?
Etherfields is their next one.
No,
Yeah.
I tell a lie, I did. It's just further down my list. Today's been a bit of a bonkers day, did I mention that?
Oh, dear.
So yeah, so many games, so very little time. I had good intentions in 2019, all right?
The road to hell.
Good intentions and low expectations that the tiny human bit was actually going to work. So I was like, yep, going to line up all the board games. And then it's like grand designs. You start off on this massive project, and the moment that you kind of commit to planning permission, suddenly, bang, you're pregnant. That's how it works. It was a really cunning ploy.
Does this mean,
Even
true to form, you're going to be living in a caravan later this year as the project goes massively over budget and you have to get a £600,000 loan for your parents to finish the roof?
Well, because having a tiny human isn't enough, we're also planning quite a large extension to the house. So yeah, there's a really good chance that's going to happen. Oh my. Still, if it all comes to plan, then I'll have plenty of space to play it, just no time to do it. And Rory, your mic is muted, mate.
Sorry, I had a big cough earlier. When are you planning to do this extension?
We're just about to put in for planning permission. This has been a long time in the works. Don't laugh like that. I know. It'll be fine. It'll take like a month, right?
I'm going to have to get Kevin McLeod on the phone. I really am. I'm just going to point him at your house and just sit back and start eating popcorn.
If he was on this podcast, he'd be doing that usual thing where one of his eyebrows goes up when they say, A, how much budget they're expected to spend, and B, how long they expect it to take.
Yes.
For the record, I don't expect it to take a month. I'm not that crazy.
Nope. I've seen the plans. That's a good 6 months' work, mate.
At least.
It does look impressive, though, to be fair.
It'll all be worth it.
What you can't see on video is Rory is practically crying at this point.
We might have to move out for a little bit.
You will be in a caravan! Oh my god, it is coming true.
Breathe, Rory, breathe.
Do you need a brown bag, mate?
Oh, I might do. This is the most
God.
bonkers thing I've ever heard another grown man say. Oh, John, I really needed cheering up tonight, mate. Thank you.
You're very welcome. For the record, which bit?
Just, when you started talking to the end.
Right, okay, yeah. All of it then. I'm good value for money, what can I say?
Oh, brilliant.
Good grief. Oh. Well, I suppose whilst on the subject of mystical fantasy type affairs, my second choice for 2020 games, what are coming to ship that I've already backed, is Dwellings of Eldervale, which is something that I think Rory actually pointed me towards last year.
I remember
I think that was me.
No, I'm pretty sure it was because I added that to the Kickstarter highlights. I said, Andy, have you seen this one?
Yes. Yes, I
Then
remember.
within about 3 minutes, it was like, Andy has backed Dwellings of Eldervale.
All in. Tick.
I take it back.
Yes, so Dwellings of Eldervale is a worker placement game, no surprise there, given that I'm backing it, set in a once-lost magical world. So there's elemental monsters, dragons, wizard warriors, etc., etc., etc. So a bit D&D, but with a slight twist. So worker placement, area control, engine building, and a few unique units as well. So lots and lots of elements, what I like, all in the same game. Sounds fantastic. So different areas to put things in, different elements to mess around with, different spells to cast, prophecies to fulfill, and the one with the most elemental dominance wins. This looks really, really, really pretty. There's a few tasty, decent miniatures in there. It's not a miniatures game. These are just for pimp and to look nice on the day. Probably the first player marker, but there's a lot of hexes, there's a lot of board, there's a lot of colour, there's lots of different designs. Obviously, I've gone fairly deep.
Have you? That's unlike you, Andy.
I know. I usually go, super light and only back the base pledge, as we all know.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like the board can change, so you can set up different hexes, so the board will be different every time you play. So lots and lots of playability, lots and lots of colour. The artwork in this looks absolutely fantastic. So it looks almost Soulsborne in its appearance, or at least a bit, although some of it's a little more colourful than that. So there are two versions. There's a kind of sort of Soulsborne-y type appearance, and then there's sort of nice, pretty colourful magical elemental appearance as well. So looks like they've put lots of thought into this. The Kickstarter campaign itself was full of puzzles, quizzes, and things like that for backers to get involved with to try and win some free stuff as well, or at least shape the way the campaign went. So very much invested in that and involved in that. So definitely looking forward to Dwellings of Eldervale there, and that is being published by Breaking Games.
One to look out for.
So a game which has intrigued me.
Intrigued you, sir? Intrigued you? Tell me more.
Intrigued is So You've Been Eaten.
Oh,
yes.
I love the look of this bad boy.
Ditto.
This is, well, I like the look of this because it sounds absolutely bonkers. And I do like something that's absolutely bonkers. I like something that's going to test the waters and push the boat out and all that. This is a game in which you are mining crystals. You are mining crystals from the gut of a big monster.
Space monsters.
Yes. And this is a 0 to 2 player game.
What?
Love it. Love it.
Yes, because it's a 2-player game which is asynchronous.
You mean asymmetric?
So there is a AI asymmetric. Sorry, yes, you're right, Andy. Which is asymmetric. But you can play either side. So therefore, there's an AI system for both types of the game, which means technically you can play the game against itself.
So you just sit there and move the pieces around. You do what the game tells you, and then you do what the game tells you.
Which would be great for learning. Yeah, I can see me doing it once and then never again.
Yep, you can legitimately do this. Right, who wants a game? Oh, me!
Yeah.
Oh, I lost, damn.
So you have to mine these crystals from the inside of the gut of this giant alien, and basically you have to get the crystals and get out before you get eaten. And it basically says there are 2 endings to this game. You either get the crystals you need, your jetpack gets activated and you fly out through the mouth, or there is ending 2.
And
Also say ending number 2.
Yes.
Where you exit the beast from the other end, from the one you entered. Alive and forever changed.
Oh, God.
I do like the description on Board Game Geek. It says, after a thorough decontamination and quarantine period, we will have to reevaluate your performance.
It's nice to see a game with a sense of humour.
Yeah,
Definitely.
So I don't know when this is coming to Kickstarter, but it should be, I reckon, the first half of this year, because I think a lot of the...
They were planning to take this to Essen. They were trying to get some pre-production copies ready for Essen, and it didn't make it there for whatever reason. So I would anticipate this is going to be this is going to be kind of a January, February time, is where I put my money on this turning up, because it's so ready to just go.
Ooh.
It certainly looks like it, but in the photographs of all the board and prototypes and all that, look like it's done.
Yeah.
Looks like it's ready to play, to be fair. So
It's going to sit really nicely next to my other 2-player games of Seven Wonders Duel. It's exactly the same size box, so I can have a nice little 2-player shelf.
how very well organised of you.
Very.
What a surprise.
Yeah. Right, so can I talk about going deep?
Beg your pardon?
Going real deep. Yeah.
Are we talking about Andy backing another Kickstarter?
We're talking about going into massive monsters.
Really
deep.
It kind of works. My next game that I'm really excited about coming to Kickstarter in March from Burnt Island Games is In Too Deep. So this is the same publishing company that did Endeavour Age of Sail and the rather brilliant In the Hall of the Mountain King that I played the other day.
Ooh.
So the production value of these games is fantastic. They look brilliant, and this game sounds really cool. So it's set slightly in the future, and you are a bunch of cops that have all gone undercover to bust up this ring of gangsters. It's Crime Syndicate, and the whole idea of the game is that you are it's card hand management, and you are trying to slowly but surely get deeper and deeper and deeper into this organisation, so you can make really, really big busts. But along the way, you need to kind of make some smaller busts, but never ever get caught by the game that plays as the Syndicate. But at any point through the game, you could, Andy, decide that you're actually going to switch sides and become an actual, genuine, dirty cop, stuff over all the other players, and run away as the crime lord.
Oh, right, I am so playing this game.
You highlighted Andy. That's a typical John trick.
Just thinking that. You went too deep and you fingered the wrong man.
Oh, wait, what? No. Although weirdly, I'm not going to make the sexy rude joke that John will probably do in a minute. All I've got now is Belinda Carlisle in my head.
What? Belinda Carlisle?
She had a song called In Too Deep.
But so did Sum 41, and it's so much more fun.
Sum 41 are terrible.
Cause I'm in too deep and I'm trying to keep.
I rest my case.
It is a good song.
Thank you for making
Rory's
my point
right.
for me. No,
Rory's right.
No, Sum 41 are dreadful.
You're wrong, as usual.
I didn't say they were good. I just said that was a fun song.
College rock is bad.
Get over it.
Too old,
Old
Andy.
man.
You're too old. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, John.
They were out 20 years ago and they were shit then as well.
College rock is a genre which died 20 years ago. So
Exactly.
Yes.
More's the pity.
Awful.
More's the pity.
Awful dross. Anyway, Belinda Carlisle wins.
Where were we? Oh, yes. In Too Deep.
In Too Deep, yeah. So, really looking forward to this game. Burnt Island Games coming in March. They're going to be drip feeding more information as it goes. The artwork that they've supplied so far looks very cool. Their production values of their last few games and just the standard of how good those games were really sets a high precedent to get me very interested in this one. In the Hall of the Mountain King, Steve, we're going to arrange a game soon.
Awesome. Does that mean that they're also preemptively up for an Andy's insert of choice before they've even started the Kickstarter? Because this lot seem to use game trays.
Yeah. No, the insert for it's in the Hall of the Mountain King, which I was playing the other day, has got two game trays. It's got game trays in there. Fantastic. I've had it upside down and all sorts as I've been trying to pretend to pack board games away for the house move to only get this back out again and put it on the table. And everything, it's stayed exactly all in place and it makes the setup and the play so good. Yeah. So insert choice of the ward this year, definitely.
Excellent.
I would also like to play Hall of the Mountain King. It sounds pretty cool.
I've got some good games to for you guys to sit down and play in the very near future.
Pick me! Before I don't have any time.
Yeah, there you go. That's my number 2.
Oh, we're not doing numbers, are we? We're not going all
No,
dice tower,
I'm just
are we?
saying that is the second game because we started with an order and then we broke the order.
Yeah, the order's gone to pot
Yeah.
now. We're just shouting games out.
Yeah, we
randomly
are.
now.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Mr.
Oathsworn!
Mr. Tudor.
Go on. Yeah, you do understand.
Oh, God, I've got to narrow these down. I'm like, right, okay, so I can't talk about Oathsworn because John's already mentioned that. I'm not going to mention Frosthaven because
Even though you
it's
just did.
Gloomhaven 2. Well, no, I'm not going to go into detail and mention Frosthaven because I'm going to say it's Gloomhaven 2. We don't know what's going to be different about it. And 3 of us are probably going to back it, though John will regret it because he won't play it.
I predict it's going to be like Gloomhaven, but it's going to be wintertime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
Gloomhaven
go.
covered in icing sugar.
I'm going to pick the games I'm actually genuinely excited for, even though I will probably never get around to playing this game because I'm struggling to play this kind of game at the moment. But I am genuinely excited for Ankh, Gods of Egypt.
Ooh.
Now, this is the third in Eric Lang's Dudes on a Map Simon game series. And he's basically said it's part of his trilogy. The first being Blood Rage, the second being Rising Sun, and the third one being Ankh. So the first game was all about Norse gods and was his kind of reinterpretation of Risk. Rising Sun was Japanese mythology and was a reinterpretation of diplomacy. This is about Egyptian gods, and apparently it's not based, well, from what I've read so far, it's not based on any other kind of game. So we don't know if Ankh is based on another game, but it's going to be another Dudes on a Map game. Apparently, it's going to be quicker to play than both Rising Sun and Blood Rage. Apparently, it is based more on, rather than you controlling the dudes on the map themselves, you are controlling the Egyptian gods who are influencing people on the board. So you're not directly influencing things, you're getting your gods to do stuff. Of course, it's CMON, so we can expect some ridiculous, over-the-top, huge miniatures, which are...
They look gorgeous.
They just look amazing.
Much bigger than much bigger than they possibly need to be, and mostly superfluous. But they look absolutely stunning.
I have a prediction that these are going to be the most superfluous of all the miniatures in all of those games.
Yes.
Oh no,
It takes some
Cthulhu
doing.
Death May Die, that giant miniature.
But that was at least a scenario. You were at least playing on its base.
Yeah, the board was the base for that one.
No, okay.
True.
So that at least had a thing, and even like some of the miniatures in Rising Sun, they're really oversized and much bigger than they need to be, but do have a purpose because they represent where they are. I have a funny feeling that these will be like, I'm going to be this god right now, and it's going to be a bit of a Grim Forest syndrome where a finger pointing at something would have been sufficient.
But they do look spectacular. I mean,
Absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I don't know. We don't really need to talk about this. This will hit Kickstarter and we'll do gangbusters. In fact, they reckon the announcement of this Kickstarter actually destroyed Trudvang Legends.
Yeah.
Because the second this was announced, people unbacked from Trudvang Legends.
ouch.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, they announced it at Origins, didn't they? And
Yeah.
people were dropping by the minute. You could just watch it. The number gets smaller.
So it'd be interesting to see as well how CMON handled the Kickstarter this time, because a lot of people basically complained when Trudvang came out and basically went, well, we know what's going to happen now because you run these Kickstarters all exactly the same. So we know we're going to get everything that's in this, that you're drip feeding these unlocks regardless of what happens. And I think a lot of people waited until CMON actually said, right, okay, yeah, here's everything you get if you do the base pledge. And everyone kind of went back on board then.
Yeah.
And I do wonder if CMON are going to change their model for Ankh or not, or whether they'll just stick to the same model again, knowing that because it's the third Eric Lang game, they can.
Well, I'm really curious about this and how their new Marvel United is going to impact Ankh.
Yeah.
Because that's another CMON game, that's another Eric Lang game that has Chibley miniatures, it has a massive IP, a huge geeky fan base, and they're both coming the first 6 months of this year. If you had to pick between one of those, which would you pick? Because let's face it, they're both going to be 100, 150 quid plus, aren't they?
Yeah. Personally, I'd probably go for Ankh, but yes, I agree with you. It's that's going to happen. And it's surprising you say they're both supposed to come out the first half this year, because originally Ankh was supposed to come out November.
Yes.
November 2019, and it didn't. So I do wonder whether CMON are starting to go, well, hang on, maybe we do need to slow down some of these releases then.
I'm sure I read somewhere that Ankh is coming out, I want to say March or May.
Okay. That will be coming out at some point soon-ish. And I am quite interested to see what it's going to be.
Does sound interesting, but I will play your copy, Steve.
Yes, as too will I.
No doubt.
I was thinking the same thing also.
Speaking of large things, my third choice is possibly a bit of a surprise for you lot, and it will be Cleopatra and the Society of Architects.
Yes, that is a surprise.
I thought it might be.
I know nothing about this game.
likewise.
Please tell me more.
Don't worry, so do I. I keep forgetting I've actually backed it. That's the thing.
And you backed it. Right, okay.
Yes, I have backed this. This is a new game from Bruno Cathala of 5 Tribes and what's that Japanese one, What I Like, with the boats?
One you can't
The
see.
one I can't see, yes. I can never remember the bloody name of it now. Yamatai.
Oh.
Yes.
So this is the deluxe version. I've just had a look on BGG. So this is the deluxe version of the 2006 game.
Yes.
Right.
So they're sort of reimagining it, and they've made sort of nice, big, tasty models of needles and sphinxes and huge, great temples and things like that. So cards come together to give you resources, move things around to get other things, worship your gods, build your pyramid, fill in mosaic tiles, and do various other things that all look very, very pretty, and I'm sure it'll have the trademark stink of Bruno Cathala all over it.
What does that smell like then?
It's kind of sort of Japanese meeple-y.
Don't know what that means.
There's an actual temple. You get an actual temple.
Yes, you do, yeah. There's a big plastic temple you get to build. It's wonderful. And there's things you move around on top. So it's like a multi-level game as well. It does look very interesting and very cool. And, of course, I looked at it and went, oh, hello. So, yes, very interested in that. I do quite like Bruno Cathala's games, actually. They're simple yet thinky, which is a good mix. Quite an easy teach, or at least Five Tribes and Yamatai have been quite an easy teach, because mechanically they're quite straightforward. Obviously, five Tribes is pick up meeples and drop them off one by one. Yamatai is buy some boats and stick them on the board one by one. So they are at least similar, and they do hold together quite well. So I am quite looking forward to this. And yes, it does look rather nice. I do like a bit of ancient Egypt as well, so that's ticking a box there. So yes. Rather looking forward to that one, and I believe it's out sometime soon, because the project was done quite some time ago.
Rather looking forward to it when you remember about it, even though you can't really remember what it's about.
Yeah, well, it's interesting me. So it has interested me, but it's one of those I kind of backed and went, yeah, that'll be pretty good, and then I keep sort of focusing on things like Barrage and Everdell and Roots, the tabletop role-playing game, and things like that.
It's because you back so much, Andy. It's really hard to keep track of all the games that you've got coming and you're looking forward to. And
pretty much, yes.
I back a fraction of the number of games that you do, and I've already got that. Did I back Tainted Grail? I think I backed Tainted Grail. Uh-oh.
Oh dear, John's got what I've got.
Oh dear, that's bad news, John. See a doctor.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
It's a good thing. It's fine.
Right, so I've still got quite a few things that I've backed to talk about.
Whoa! We said 4. We said 4, mother. I've cut my list to 4.
But I thought instead what I might talk about is something that's already finished Kickstarter-wise and is ready for pre-order, and that's a game called Lander. You guys heard of this one?
I have.
Yes.
Yes. I saw this at UK Games Expo.
Has anyone played it?
No.
So, for those who don't know, it's a 2 to 4 player game, a sort of space-themed strategy game, including a bit of area control, some tableau building, and set collection. All things that I enjoy in a game. I just kind of like the look at this one. Have you seen any of the images for it?
I'm about to
now.
Yeah, it's got this weird kind of hexagonal kind of...
Or triangular
like
sort of...
Othello... Yeah, almost like Othello or Go kind of look to it, but with triangles, where bits get placed on the board.
Yep. So you got loads and loads of options open to you. You're sort of picking which direction you're going to go in, but you're also pivoting a lot in this game. So lots of stuff comes up, like acid rain coming that will affect your chances to terraform this place. That's what you're aiming for. All trying to terraform this place, which is a topic that's been quite popular recently.
Are you terraforming Mars? Because, well, obviously that's as you say, John, that's a recent topic. But also, I'm looking at some of the images now, and it looks disturbingly similar in terms of
Mars.
artwork and style to
it's not
terraforming
Mars. It's
Mars.
completely different. It's something called Camus 2, the first planet outside our solar system capable of supporting life. Completely different.
Okay, it's just the art. Yeah, the artwork style, and looking at some of these images, you genuinely would be forgiven for thinking it's terraforming, Cayman 2 then.
Yeah, I just, it looks like an interesting combination. Quite intrigued by this one. And if it wasn't for the fact that I had so little time I'm expecting this year.
You've got a few months.
Yeah, exactly. It'll arrive in that time, right?
Yeah, sure. The first couple of weeks of parenthood, John, are really easy, because you have loads of people turning up and they'll do washing up for you, and they'll say, I'll make the cup of tea, you just stay there, and they'll bring you gifts and wine, and most likely coffee, and loads of spare baby clothes and stuff like that. So you've got loads of time, and then your parents and family will turn up and they'll just hold the baby, and you'll be like, I've still got nothing to do. I may as well go play a board game. very rapidly goes downhill after that for at least 3.5 years. It might be longer, but I'm only at 3.5 years, so I can't say.
Wow. I'm just going to point out right now that I will not be one of those people that turns up in the first 2 weeks.
Okay.
No, and neither would I expect you to. So, yes. So Lander, getting back to. And a 2-player game is sort of more about that kind of expansion, that kind of side of things. But with 3 to 4 players, it starts to get a bit more interesting because you start to negotiate with one another. If someone's pulling away, you can start to negotiate and gang up on them and adjust their ability to win the game. So I quite like that as a, what's the term? A balancing mechanism. If you can see that someone's pulling away, and you can then, do you know what? Should we make an alliance because he's looking a bit too good right there? I quite like that. The negotiating.
What if they disagree?
Well, then you probably just wait for them to win. Someone's walking away with it. Yeah, apparently it's a deeper kind of strategy game. They say it should take something in the region of 40 to 200 minutes.
That's a bit
which
of a
sounds
margin.
Like quite a large swing to me. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
I don't know, because you can get that in Mansions of Madness as well. You can get a game that lasts 3 hours, or you can get a game that lasts 40 minutes when you all go mad and get the shit kicked out of you by a shoggoth. So,
yeah, I like games like this where you've got options to get out of things when it's all about pivoting your strategy mid-game. I think that's fun.
Nice to sort of repoint yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm quite looking forward to that one.
Coolio.
That was Lander from Intrepid Games, Daniel Alexander II.
So my next game I'm excited about, and when I got the email from the publisher, my jaw immediately dropped, and I gasped within a big intake of breath when I read the title. It is Dice Theme Park from Alley Cat Games.
Hello.
Yeah. So this is kind of a spiritual successor to Dice Hospital, as Dice Hospital was based on Theme Hospital. Dice Theme Park is probably a working title, is based on Theme Park. In this, it follows the same kind of feel to Dice Hospital. It will have isometric hexagonal boards, just like the Dice Hospital. Dice, instead of being patients, this time your dice will be guests. So you will be drafting these dice into your theme park. And the idea here, though, is obviously not to let them get to 1 or 0, because at 0, that is their lowest level of excitement. They have become utterly bored and will leave your theme park. You're going to have dice come into your park, and you're going to want to keep them high for as long as possible. Not that type of high, but excited high.
If they go, is it like if they go beyond 5 though? If they hit 6, do they explode from the excitement?
No, I don't think we're going to have exploding dice. No,
you've just got to keep them at the 6. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
So at 6, and they're going to wander around your park, and they're going to have something to eat and something to drink and do other stuff, and then go on a theme park, go on a ride, and it's going to sit X amount of people. It's going to increase their pips by so much. Only certain dice.
Yeah, okay.
It's all that type of thing. From what I understand, it is pitched at kind of if Dice Hospital is a gateway game, I would say it's kind of a gateway game.
On the heavy side for a gateway game, I'd say.
Gateway Plus.
Would you not? Right, in which case, then Dice Theme Park is a Gateway plus. So it kind of sits at that very middle way. It's the next step up. If you want something slightly more complex than Dice Hospital, Dice Theme Park is going to be your go-to.
That's my kind of programming language. Sorry, I mean board game level.
So a kind of viticulture sort of level of heft then.
Yeah, I would say that sounds about right.
Yeah,
so
okay.
It's going to have, it's Sabrina Mirman who is doing the artwork. It's going to be in roughly the same size box. So these games are going to look spot on your shelf next to each other. It is designed by Daryl Andrews and Adrian Ademscu, who did Sagrada and Bosk. Nice. I believe Mike Nudd is being involved with some development work as well on this, who did a lot of the work with Dice Hospital as well. So I'm expecting some really exciting things about this. It is potentially a hope that this will be out in 2020. I know they're in the process of it. It's still in the design phase. So if it does come to Kickstarter, it will be towards the very end of the year. But we should expect to be able to play a prototype at the UK Games Expo.
Elton.
Ooh.
He says. That's not confirmed at all with the publisher. I've just made that bit up. But
Challenge accepted. The gauntlet is down.
You're gonna make them do that now.
Yeah. I had a good long chat with Cesar the other day, and we never talked about UK Games Expo. So I've now unilaterally declared that Dice theme park will be at UK Games Expo.
God damn it, it will.
Yeah.
You can tell that Rory's planning some DIY stuff because it's all about what board games will look good next to one another on this mythical shelf that you're presumably putting together.
I'm going to have to put my board game shelves. Kira and I have already discussed it. They're going to be in the loft, but it means I've got more space to spread them out. I'm thinking.
Okay.
So
is it safe up there?
Yeah. It's a new build, so it's all going to be boarded, and I've got a fancy ladder that drops down that I don't have to install or anything. So I can just put my shelves up there and have my games and maybe a little table. So I've got some my space to play games on my own.
Boarded not just on the floor but on the ceiling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just fear for damp cardboard. It's making me slightly twitchy.
Massive temperature swing, so it goes damp, then dries out. Damp, then dries out.
I hadn't considered. Where am I going to keep my goddamn games? I've already agreed to this.
Sealed boxes in the loft, my friend.
Hemostatically sealed boxes, so you need those little ventilation things on them. They're cheap, just flight cases. That's all you need.
Right. Okay.
Flight cases are not cheap.
He doesn't know that.
I feel quite proud that we've just saved Rory's board game collection.
I'm thankful that you saved my board game collection.
I almost didn't say anything, and then I thought,
tosser.
I just checked. No, just because I thought he would have thought about this. Like, it's obviously like one of those lofts which has got like plasterboarded ceiling and it's sealed like an insulated room. And it's all okay.
If it isn't like that, I can do that job. I was a builder for 7 years. I can insulate a loft.
There you go.
Yeah, I can take care of it. Thank you, John. That's on the list of things to do.
That's a double win then. He sorted out what he's going to do, and John, you got someone to build that extension for you now.
Good point. Yeah, Rory, what are you doing for the next, what did I say, month or so?
Not happening, John. It's not happening.
All right, call it 2.
I didn't say I was a good builder. I just said that.
There's a reason why you're no longer a builder, isn't there?
There's a reason why I'm now an analyst. Yeah.
There's a trail of half-built houses around the Midlands now. Rory's name all over them.
We're edging the right way, though, so presumably he's pretty decent at planning building stuff. Here we go. I need a project manager. So, board games.
Yeah.
We promised we wouldn't get bogged down in DIY. I'm sorry. That was my fault.
Oh, right then. I'm struggling now because the last 3 I've picked have all been games coming to Kickstarter, not games I'm actually going to play in 2020.
Oh, good point.
And I'm looking at everything, and we've mentioned a few games that I'm excited to play already. So we've already mentioned Oathsworn. Some games like I put on Mars on this list, but anyone who's listening to this podcast in America has only been playing the game for 3 bloody months.
What?
That's true. It's still not here yet. I'm still waiting for my bloody copy of it, as well as Venus, Galoist. I'm going to get
Remember that In Too Deep we mentioned earlier?
Honestly.
They'll be trying to forklift to your desk, Andy.
It will, honestly. The size of that box is just going to be insane. It'll put my back out when I pick that up. That's going to be mad. Because they're all the Kickstarter versions of them as well. So they're going to all have extra weight and bling and God knows what else. That's 5
I was going to say I was going to
box.
try and steal it from work, but not at the risk of my back.
I think that genuinely, John, that box will be bigger than you are.
Well, apparently quite a few boxes are with a bit of photoshopping.
Photoshopping?
Cheeky bastards.
So my last pick, which is a game I'm going to receive because I've backed it on Kickstarter, and me and John played this almost a year ago now, which is Kingdom Rush Rift in Time.
What was that year?
So it was AirCon last year, so it's 9 months away. 9 months ago.
Yeah.
almost a year. So this is a board game, cooperative board game based on Kingdom Rush, which is the tower defense tablet game, which is actually a nice, fun little game. Which actually, after we played the board game version, I went home and downloaded the app version. And it's quite a fun little distraction, actually. So this is a typical tower defense game. You will be attacked by wave and wave after bad guys, but it's really clever how they've done this. So the wave of bad guys are these little square tiles with bad guys arranged in a grid. I think it's like a 5x5 grid.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And all your abilities to attack them are polyominoes. So you may cast a fireball, which will be a certain shape, or you may cast a lightning bolt, a certain shape, and you have to place the polyominoes over the bad guys to defeat them.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, yes, I remember you two mentioning this now. That sounds interesting.
So there's a really cool puzzle going on about how you defeat them, but then there's an aspect of I can't remember exactly now because it is about a year since we played this, but there's a really cool idea where you could either play a building or you could upgrade it. But if you upgraded it or played it, you had to give it to another player.
Yeah.
So you're constantly shifting, and you had to carefully think about what you were doing with your buildings, because if you just attacked, then your buildings wouldn't upgrade. So when the bigger, badder baddies came, you didn't have enough power to defeat them. But if you just upgraded, it means you weren't attacking the things coming.
I think when you upgraded them, you kept them. But once you fired them, they went to the other person. I think it was that way around.
That was it, yes. I think that was it, yeah. So it was full of lots of really cool little, what do I do here kind of decisions. And it made it bloody hard. I mean, what was the version we played? But I think after a few goes, you'll get the grasp of it. But that should be coming pretty soon, I think, because the Kickstarter was, I say, about 9 months ago. So I'm hoping this is, I've seen some pictures on Lucky Duck's Facebook feed where they've shown off some of the, like first run production miniatures, so it shouldn't be too far away.
Excellent.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. I also backed it, so yeah. Another one that I'm probably going to...
Oh, wow. Couple more I've backed. They're both expansions, so I won't dwell on these too much. The first one is Donning the Purple, Votes and Virtue, which Steve and I managed to play in about 20 minutes at UK Games Expo in 2019. Probably the quickest game of Donning the Purple on record. It does help if you play with a designer. This adds a fourth player. You can play as a general. So you basically control the armies and ultimately the Senate. And again, adds a bit more asymmetry to the game Donning the Purple that we already love and don't play enough, which should be coming out this year. Kickstarter finished quite some time ago, so we're looking forward to that. And we've mentioned him twice already, so why not for a third time? Big Davey T, Anachrony Fractures of Time, the expansion to Anachrony, which Steve and I played, a couple of years ago now, and got our asses thoroughly handed to us by Elora, which is a very heavy Euro involving time travel and borrowing resources from the future whilst you're trying to get the hell out of Dodge as the Earth falls apart around you. So 2 expansions I'm really rather looking forward to there.
Yes, I have backed the Anachrony expansion as well, because I played that game a couple of times since, and I bloody love that game.
And we haven't played it since, have we?
Oh, I said I've played it since. I've played it a couple of times since. Yeah.
Oh, have you? Brilliant. Damn
We
you.
haven't played it since. I have.
Well done. Andy looks pleased about that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what that gesture meant.
Yes, absolutely, yes, definitely.
It was happy for me twice. No, it was a smiley face. Surely, yeah. That's what the fingers made that
It
shape.
was
It a
indeed,
smile.
I think
yes.
that was V for victory. Yeah, he was
Oh,
happy
V
for
victory,
you.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it, yes.
Speaking of expansions, anyone else looking forward to the Dice Hospital expansion?
Yes.
Honestly, no.
What?
Really?
No.
Oh,
I'm not.
controversial. Any particular reason why?
Assuming it's sticking to the 3 that are in there, there's the one with the hospital,
The city, the
ambulance driving around
specialists,
the
and
city.
maternity, yeah.
The specialists.
Yeah.
I thought the only one worth having out of all of those was the maternity one, if I'm honest.
See, we never played the
Interesting.
specialist one, though, did we? So
No,
the
we didn't.
specialist, the
That's true.
specialists module of that really ramps up the difficulty of the game, but not just it knocks up kind of how you can customize your hospital. It gives you a lot more options in your turn, so you have more to think about in your given turn.
Do you mean the investments expansion, that one?
Investments, sorry, yeah. The investments, it just gives you a lot more to think about. That's where you have more specialists coming into your hospital. You can essentially train your staff up to be better or make the rooms better. It was really tight. I thought that was probably my favourite one of the three, actually.
You get more facilities as well, so extra rooms and things.
I can't remember if there were extra rooms. I think you do get extra rooms in that one.
It's a bit of both, I think. Yeah.
You get some extra rooms and some extra staff, and it just gives you more customization. It gives you more to think about in your turn of kind of to optimize your route to curing the people. The maternity gives you more to panic about, in my opinion, which was really exciting in some ways. And the city gives you a bit of player interaction. It changes the drafts and gives you some nice little boosts and bonuses as well. From speaking to Cesar last week from Alley Cat Games, they've been working because the development of the community care expansion has been put back slightly longer than they wanted it to, because they spent a long time developing a system where you can actually use all 3 expansions in one go. Which was originally not in scope, but there was so much kind of noise for it. And that took a bit longer to kind of get those details sorted. So
I want to try it, but I'm skeptical about how playable it's going to be. A bit like trying to play all of the Century games in one sitting.
I think it'd be quite easy to do the city, because the city only affects the draft. So if you did the city with one of the other expansions, it's not going to be too much to deal with. But that doing all 3 is going to make it a really good, really big game. It's going to take a lot longer, and I think it's the type of thing when you get to that point, you will almost have to play individually rather than doing everything simultaneously, just because there's so much going on.
Well, you have to take notes as well.
Yeah, John will. Yeah,
it's only a problem if you're interacting with one another.
Given that I'm not actually that good at Dice Hospital anyway, no, I'm not actually that bothered about the expansion at this point. I wouldn't mind trying it. But
well, I'm excited about it.
No, I'm looking forward to it. Summer, I think it's due to land.
Good. Yeah, I've lost track of when it's actually. Yeah.
I'm so shocked by that, John.
Yeah. Well, okay. Here's what I do know about shipping by 17th of January and arriving within 11 days of that. Is the Isle of Cats from Frank West.
Oh.
From City Games. Cannot wait for this one.
Some people I noticed have already got it.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Who's already got it?
UK shipment should finish by the 17th of January, and we should all have our games by the 11th. Or so they say.
No, that's an actual cat, Andy.
Yeah, that's not a...
It is.
It's not a board game.
This is an actual... I'm illustrating the point with real live cats.
In case I'd forgotten what a cat was.
Yes.
So yeah, if you don't know, Isle of Cats is a competitive medium-weight card drafting polyomino cat placement board game for 1 to 4 players or more with expansion.
Oh, there's an expansion as well.
You can play up to 6.
Very nice.
So,
okay, did you go for that as well?
What do you think?
Silly question. Like I'm talking in a mirror, this really.
Well, yes and no.
Well,
I do have boundaries, but being able to play with 6 people is definitely an attractive option, given the groups of people I tend to play with.
Yeah, it's nice to accommodate at least 5, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I do find 4 is a little restrictive at times.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that one.
have you got any quick shout-outs, Steve?
Right, my quick shout-out. So, have we all picked 4 each now?
I've got my
At
4th,
least.
my big reveal. John's had about 10, because he can't follow the rules.
Well, mine are quite quick, though. Concise John, you see.
Yeah. So the other things that I've backed that I'm looking forward to Bloodborne, mainly as a bit of morbid curiosity, because I backed it and went, what the hell, I'm going to go to it. I'm looking forward to another big Davey T game, which is Defense of Procyon 3, which sounds absolutely fascinating, which is a 4-player team game, which can be played 2-player, and apparently it's almost a completely different game. I'm looking forward to getting Time of Legends Destinies, which is also another Lucky Duck game, which is a kind of a fantasy story-driven, app-driven game. I've backed Namiji, which is probably not a game you guys would be interested in.
Beg your pardon?
But that is the sequel to Tekhenu.
Tokaido, that's the one, yeah.
So Tekhenu is the one when you go on a journey across Japan. This is one where you sail around Japan.
My
so
God.
it's a similar game, going to be going in both.
Similar game.
You can guess why I've backed that, can't you?
Does it start with
that
per
name rhyme with
and end with
panda?
ander?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was flicking through Kickstarter. It came up and she was watching over my shoulder. And I went, what's that? That's the sequel to Kaido. You've backed it? Not yet. Back it, 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 back it.
I can picture it.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my copy of On Mars, which the Americans have got. Looking forward to that. And the one game we haven't mentioned, which I'm intrigued by, we don't actually know much about, is Dark Ages by Adam Klapinski and Board and Dice. We don't really know much about the game, but there's going to be 2 versions of the game set in 2 different parts of Europe. You can get the Western Europe or the Eastern Europe version of the game. And it's a 4X game set in the Dark Ages.
But it's a Euro-style 4X game.
By Adam Kwapinski of Awakened Realms fame, of Nemesis, Lords of Hellas, and various others.
And in between.
Yes.
Yeah. Hasn't got a duff game on his list.
No, pretty much, yeah. Oh, God.
It comes with very cool little miniatures because it's a Civ building 4X game with Euro worker placement, resource management style tactics over potentially 2 giant boards that you can sandwich together and play one big game over all of Europe.
That's it. Andy's going to have to go and change his trousers.
It's true. That was the sound of a man soiling his pants. Wow, that does sound really quite cool. When's that coming to Kickstarter?
Spring, early this year.
Okay, then.
Is it early this year? I thought it was going to be later than that, but we don't really know, do we?
Okay.
We don't know.
We're speculating.
So it'll be in 2020. Let's be nice and loose.
Are those your shout outs then, Steve?
That's my shout out. I'd still like to play Trudvang Legends, but of course didn't back it. Oh, and I'm intrigued by Skyrim Call to Arms, which is the miniatures game from Modifius, which can be the Skyrim miniatures game. I quite like the Fallout game, but not quite enough to make me push the button to buy it. Will Skyrim be the one that just pushes me over the edge? I don't know.
Slightly different system, isn't it? So it's
yeah,
should be okay. My quick shout outs then. Burgle Bros 2, the Casino Capers from Fowers Games. Burgle Bros is a fantastic co-op game where you're trying to rob a bank with your kind of superpowered, well not superpowered, but all your individually powered burglars. This one's set in the world of Ocean's 11 where you're trying to rob a Las Vegas casino, avoid guards and security systems and get out. It looks epic. It's a really fun game, the first one, and this one also has a game trays inside. The box is literally a game trays that you open out. It comes in a little bus. You slide the box out, open it up, and the game falls out. Looks brilliant.
Oh, that sounds brilliant.
And
Burgle Bus.
Burgle Bros, yeah. And this
Bros, so as in Mario Bros.
Is it not
exactly,
Burgle Brothers?
Burgle Brothers, yes.
Well, you could say that, but I'm going to say Burgle Bros.
No, that's based on the 80s pop band.
Yes. They turned to a life of crime once their singles dried up.
That's my first game, which is I back that. That should be turning up in May, just before Expo, guys. So I should bring that along, and we can maybe have a game of it if we get a chance.
Hell yeah.
Another game I'm really looking forward to is another co-op game. It's Back to the Future from Ravensburger. Not a huge amount is out about this game at the moment, but all we know is that Biff has stolen the DeLorean, gone through a joyride through time, stolen and messed up a load of stuff. Your job is to go back and put it all right. So I'm getting the vibe of kind of a pick up and deliver thing going on in a DeLorean. Which is cool. Another game I'm really looking forward to is Holy, the Festival of Colour from Floodgate Games. What I think looks really cool about this game is actually played in a 3D tower. It's an area control game based on the Festival of Colour in India. But your job here is you've got a deck of cards that dictate the pattern that your thrown paint covers. So you're running around the map trying to just cover as much of the map as possible in your colour tokens, but you've got to move over all 3 tiers as well as trying to cover up pickups and your opponent as well.
I think as you go up the tiers, you sacrifice some victory points to do it, but it allows you to chuck paint over a wider area or something along those lines.
Something along those lines, yeah. So it looks really, really cool. It's going to sit in that same weight of game as Sagrada and Bosque, So I think it's going to be awesome. And my fourth game is Streets, the follow-up to Villagers from Sinister Fish Games, which will be coming along towards the end of this year. Same designer, same artist, who is the same designer. Not much is known about it. This is really where you're trying to develop your little area of this street, your neighbourhood, trying to attract people in, whilst trying to steal them from other people. And at the same time, you are closing off, finishing the building of a street of your opponent. So as soon as a street or a neighbourhood is finished, it scores and everyone that's in it buggers off and goes to a new area. And my fifth one, because I'm going to squeeze one in, is random. It's called The Shivers. And what caught my eye about this game is the fact that it is a pop-up style, modular pop-up board. So you've got those children's pop-up books.
Yes.
Okay.
This is literally there's literally a little pack, a little board, and it says you need the drawing room, the hall, and the dining room. You get those books out, you open it up, and it pops up and creates this 3D environment for your players to move through. It's a family weight escape tales type of mystery game. One player is the storyteller, the other players are the Shivers family that have to explore this environment, move through the story, and solve the crime.
That sounds quite intriguing.
It looks really
games.
interesting.
That sounds like a really clever way to reduce the setup and teardown of a game.
Yeah.
If you just open the book and there's your scenery.
Yeah. And it's completely modular as well. So you'll have however many books that make up the entire house, and you'll see some of them in some terms, and you'll open up and they'll be in different configurations. Just go check out the Board Game Geek page for this and some of the artwork. It looks, it's not, when I think of a pop-up children's book, it's not what I think of, but this is incredible. Paper engineering, they call it these days, apparently.
Is that
Paper
right?
engineering. Nice. Okay. Interesting. Just a few from me, just quickly. Merchant's Cove will be from Final Frontier Games.
Looks awesome.
Yes, I do like their stuff. And a couple of expansions, Root, and also from Too Many Bones as well. Really looking forward to that, because, you can't have too many bones.
Apparently. So one final game before we shift on to another section is The Mighty Venice, which we all played together. We've mentioned it before on the podcast a few times. It makes Rory angry when he plays with us, but apparently they've made it more difficult for us to play like that now.
It's actually an optional card that they recommend for your first game, but most people don't bother with it.
Once you've stopped being quite so dick-like to one another. Yeah, it's another one for David Turksey. He's had a lot of mentions this time. He must be making some good games.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, another one that we're all excited. Have we all backed it?
Steve hasn't.
Oh,
No, I
Steve.
haven't.
That is.
Sorry. In fact, that's one of my gaming New Year's resolutions, I think it's going to be, which is quite the opposite of what it should be.
Back
Is
more
I'm realizing well, yeah, because I'm finding that I see these really cool games, and I keep going like, oh, I won't back that. I won't back Pipeline. Andy's backed that. Played that once with you. Once. I won't back Barrage. Andy's backed it. Played it once. So I feel as if I need to back more games so I can actually play the bugger with other people.
Moving on from Florence, I'm just going to talk about the last game that I'm super excited about. Just because this is the first time this game is ever going to be talked about anywhere publicly. This so far, this game has not left the publisher that have designed it so far. So this is Braincrack Games. This is the follow-up to Ragusa, the follow-up to Venice. It is the third part in their Globetrotter series. It's going to be the last game that's set in Mediterranean cities. And this time it's going to be called Florence.
Okay.
Why did you giggle, Steve?
Because you said leaving Florence
yeah.
at the beginning.
Yeah. Kind of gave the game away there.
Do you know what? The really messed up.
I'm sure Steve could edit that bit out.
It's all right. We'll leave it in.
Interestingly, when Lewis sent me the message with this information, he said, the next game did the whole spiel that I've just done. But he said, the next game is Venice, and then went in to describe Florence, but called it Venice. So, Florence, it's an area control style game, but what you're doing, you are all nobles, noble merchants, and you've got this rare opportunity to speak to like the powerful Medici as they attend the various functions of this grand ball that you've been invited to. So you need to kind of run up to them, kind of garner their attention, garner their affection, and get as much out of them as possible whilst dicking over everybody else. The interesting thing about this as an area control game, though, is that the area you're trying to control keeps moving as they attend different parts of this big party. that they're all at. So that's the interesting twist of this. So yeah, you've got to manage all of your funds, because you've got to pay to get yourself to the party. You've got to pay to get yourself outfitted so that you can present these gifts and these business deals to these kind of influential bodies that you're all trying to vie for attention for. It sounds interesting. The last 2 games in this series of games have been brilliant. So all over it. That is most likely going to hit Kickstarter in November.
Cool.
And I've waited so long to talk about that game. I can't believe I stood up.
We can, Rory. We can. Hashtag Ramshackle. You're one of us now.
No! Have I lost my Hermione Granger status?
It's
Yes,
teetering.
you've gained shit Darth Vader status now.
Shit
What
Vader.
does that even mean, Andy? What is as insults go? That makes no sense.
It does, because you must have
not
seen
watched
episode
Revenge
3.
of the Sith? Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith.
Right at the end.
With the jazz hands.
Yeah, it's awful. It really is just
Which
awful.
number is
Undermines
Revenge of the Sith
everything.
again? Which one's that?
The third one, episode 3, the third of the prequel trilogy.
Oh yeah. No, right.
Shit Darth Vader.
Before we close off for the day, bearing in mind that we're already going for an hour and 3/4.
Mm-hmm.
So I put a message on Twitter, on Facebook, for our listeners to provide the games which they're interested in playing in 2020, and if they had any gaming resolutions. A Cockadrillo says he was expecting the delayed Aliens: A Glorious Day in the Core. We're not expecting that anymore. And his resolution is not to buy expansions, or only after burning through the base game first.
Amateur.
No, I think he's onto something. Or she. They're onto something.
He
He?
met Alberta.
Hey, you've met him.
Ah! I don't connect Twitter names with people. That's a real problem for me.
So, Colm Doyle says, probably the most excited to play Bloodborne, the board game, when it drops, which is supposed to be early summer, followed by Tidal Blades. I don't think it's a game any of us have looked at. Resolution, want to buy back and less games, play more games, and reduce the pile of shame.
So say we all.
So say we all.
Alora Marston says, her resolution is to make Andy Lewis track all the games they play this year.
Yes.
Which he's doing quite well at, apparently, although he keeps beating Alora, so it doesn't look good on the stats.
It looks brilliant. Currently, we started tracking it on something like the 30th of January, so just before the new year, and we're using BG Stats app. And currently, since then, my win ratio is 62%.
Ooh.
And that's not just with Alora, that's with a few other people as well. And her win ratio is a pathetic 25.
We're all using BG Stats now, aren't we?
We are.
I'm going to be really, because I know Steve's
yes.
been using it for a long time. I used it for a good chunk of last year, so I'm really keen to see how our challenges and our stats look at the end of the year now.
Yeah, I've set myself some challenges, and they're quite terrifying.
Yeah.
I predict mine are going to be fairly disappointing.
Kirk Beezer, Kirk Beezer? I'm going to pronounce that horribly wrong. He's looking forward to playing On Mars, both terrified and looking forward to it. I'm exactly with you there, Kirk, because David Turksey himself said to me that On Mars is probably not the best first game for Vita Lacerda to play. He says it is very complicated.
Excellent.
When David Turksey says a game's very complicated,
Christ.
it means it probably is.
That means I probably don't want to play
True.
that game. That's probably beyond John.
Yes, it might well be.
I just hope it's not like CO2, which is also Vita Lacerda, which I've got, but it's very much on rails. I hope On Mars is not.
I keep hearing it's very good from people who have played it.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So Bulge Wilson says he has quite a few Kickstarters. He's hoping to play Solomon Kane, The Everrain, and Europa Universalis. 3 games none of us are backing, although I was very tempted by The Everrain when it came out.
I remember that.
Can't remember why I didn't back it. Yeah. And then Michael Kent says he's looking forward to his own game coming out and play for keeps, which is a time-travelling game called Continuum.
Ooh.
It's 2020. It's a good year for looking backwards in time travel games.
Yeah. It sounds futuristic, doesn't it? 2020.
It does. And that's it. That's the end of our episode where we thought we were only going to talk about 8 games.
Who thought that?
No one
That'd be
thought that.
ridiculous.
Anybody that listened to this podcast for the first time.
I proposed that we should
Yes.
try and limit it to about 3 or 4 each. And then I saw the list that you guys had actually already put down, which were about 5 or 6 times that each.
Oh, well, that's our games we're looking forward to in 2020. Some of them coming to Kickstarter, some of them coming to our tabletops. Hopefully we'll get to play them all. John, will you meet your New Year's resolution from 2 years ago of playing more miniatures games?
Maybe.
That's a no. Let's tune in next year to find out how many of those games John actually played. But we'll be back in a couple of weeks for a normal episode. Thank you very much for listening. We have been Polyhedron Collider. If you'd like to chat to us, we are available on Twitter at PolyhedronC, though I can be contacted at Wahofflemadenga.
I can be contacted at Sonic H with a 0.
I'm at John_Cage.
And I'm at Rory J. Summers.
We also have a hefty Facebook page if you want to talk to us there, or we can be contacted on the Board Game Geek Guild 2726.
If you fancy a bit of D&D, you can join us live every Thursday on twitch.tv/Polyhedron Collider. And although the campaign's coming to a close slowly but surely over the next few months, there's still a lot of juicy content there, so check it out. Eventually, I might get round to uploading it all. This is just getting embarrassing every week. YouTube.com/user/Polyhedron Collider. Maybe when we finish the campaigns, I'll upload it in a bulk lot. So then you can just binge the entire series. There we go.
2 years of D&D in one sitting. Bloody hell.
Boom. Well, I've just started working my way back through the Glass Cannon podcast. I listened to a few recent ones and thought, yeah, this is quite good. Okay, skip back 270 odd episodes. I'm back at number 1. Here we go.
Right. Good. If you would like to hear or read about more board gaming news and reviews, you can do so all over at polyhedroncollider.com.
So, thanks very much for listening. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with some more juicy content. But for now, happy gaming.
Take it easy.
Catch you later.
Bye-bye.